Well, hello, and welcome to Wellness Wednesday. In today's video, I'm going to go over a couple of ways that you can know whether you are having an intuitive hit or whether you are in a thinking mode. This is a question that comes up commonly and very often inside of my animal communication portal. And I thought today would be a good day to revisit it and teach you how you can use your intuition to really stay focused and out of that sort of anxious, worried mind that puts you into overwhelm, or what I call the monkey mind. So the definition of intuition in the Webster Dictionary is basically defines it as knowing instinctively beyond your conscious mind or any kind of reasoning. It's just that inner knowing where people just say, I just knew it, I just felt it in my gut. And my dog is locked out, so let me let her in so she can stop whining to be let in, and that's what you call an intuitive hit. Yes, and now she's saying thank you. So I think this is one way that our animals are so good at helping us to stay present and to slow things down, because the voice of intuition is very, very quiet. It's often a place where a lot of times we can't access it because we've got so many million bits of information flying at us in this sort of technological age of complete information overload and the noise that's outside there. So I think that science defines intuition as a mind phenomena, and I don't agree with that because I think it comes from the heart. Although if you think that the heart is the most powerful brain, between the heart brain and the gut brain, there's much more speed at the rate of the information that goes up to this brain that then engages thinking than there is from the brain going down. And I think spirituality has a much better way of explaining intuition as the brain keeper, right? That our heart field is one of the most powerful fields, and that's how we create connection and belonging. So if you think that you are beyond your physical body, and we talk about this as chi, where you can see this in people that practice mindfulness and are very much in their intuitive process, like monks. You see this in nature too, where if you sort of soften your eyes and you look at, I'm looking at a plant in front of me, you see this etheric sort of shimmer, which is the chi, the energy field that is beyond the physical plant. And it's the same with us, with our bodies. We have 40, I think, trillion cells in our body that are constantly in communication with each other, and it's a very autonomic process. We don't actually know everything that's being communicated in our bodies to keep us alive, but if you just think of yourself as your chi or your prana or your life force energy is connected to the oneness and consciousness in the morphic field of everything, which includes the morphic field of being a human being or being a plant. Every species on the planet has its own collective consciousness and its morphic field. So just think of yourself as this very quantum being that is connected to all things and the morphic field of all consciousness and all nonverbal communication, and just trust your heart and your gut before you trust your mind. So some of the ways that you can discern the difference between intuitive knowing, that it's very fast, right? It's beyond words, and as I said, it's a felt sense. It happens before the heart sends this information up to this brain to process, and then the brain starts to go into all the meaning making of it. So it's just a thought doesn't exist before the knowing of the heart brain and the gut brain that sends it up our enteric nervous system through the vagus nerve. If you follow my nervous system 101 methodology in the out of the blue system, and also in the animal communication processes. So you notice subtle things if you start to become aware of this, and you are setting the intention, you're making a commitment to start to exercise your trust muscle of intuition, you'll start to notice that the heart, it often changes. It's like people just say, without a reason of belief, I just knew it in my heart, I knew it in my gut. Oftentimes you'll say, oh my gosh, my heart skipped a beat. That's kind of the intuitive knowing. It's just very felt sense. The other thing is to know about intuition over thinking is intuition is very neutral. There's no charge because it precedes the thought that creates the emotions, right? It's again, it's just very instant, and there's just like, oh, interesting. Okay, so there's no emotion, and then there's no meaning making in what's going on, because the intuitive process, your gut knowing, is much faster than the language of the brain that's trying to make meaning of it. So there's no mental explanation when you're getting an intuitive hit. It's just like, I just knew that that's what I needed to do. You just follow it instantaneously before the mind has a chance to start the meaning making and then go into all the reasons and justifications why it can't be true. So just know that, again, I think this is where animals are so helpful in this, in urging us and very patiently guiding us to just know that we need to be very clear in our communication. So if you want to start practicing and exercising your intuitive trust muscle, just when you set the intention that you want clarity on something, be aware that you're asking a question. You're not asking from a place of actually forming a conclusion, which is a very limited space. If you've already concluded that something has to be a certain way, it can't be greater than that. So when you're in that quantum field of infinite possibilities and you ask a very clear, concise question, that's where you are opening yourself up to receive divine guidance, right? To receive that intuitive hit, and trust that you're not attached to the outcome or whatever comes into your awareness. You just are asking for it to show itself to you. And this is where, being in animal communications, you'll notice that when you are getting a direct intuitive hit from an animal, it's very precise. They don't go into long, wordy explanations if you are clairaudient. They don't show you more than one picture at a time. It's very direct and it's very to the point. So when you're in that intuitive process, you're going to get one piece of information at a time. It's never going to be this and this and this and this and this. If it starts to get over complex and complicated, you're in the mind, right? You're in the mental constructs. You're in the thinking brain. You're not in the intuitive flow anymore. And know that your mind is going to want to control the outcome of whatever it is that you're asking or you're unsure of, that you're wanting clarity on, because the mind likes predictability and it likes things to be the same. So to start to exercise your intuitive muscle, you're going to come against resistance. So just know that it's going to be there. Know that your mind is, and your nervous system and your brain is going to do everything it possibly can to keep you back in the thinking brain and out of trusting your intuitive or your gut knowing. So, trusting your intuition when you start to learn this can be quite a tricky process, because, as I said, the mind and the nervous system want predictability, and it's always going back into the archives, into your filing system of all your past experiences and all the reasons and justifications and meaning making that you've put on it to keep you from getting beyond that. And that's where we need to go if we want to start using our creativity to create beautiful things in the world and to be of greater service. You cannot create when you are in a space that doesn't feel safe. So again, animals are fantastic teachers to show us how to just stay present and to listen to the very quiet voice of intuition. It never shouts like the brain. So, I think that understanding the nervous system is a really, really good place to start, to look at where you have created protective or defensive mechanisms to keep you safe when perhaps there was no safety for you. And knowing how you're wired, knowing what your attachment style is, the coping strategies that you put into place, then when your brain goes into overdrive and it wants to make meaning, and your monkey mind gets going at 24/7, that you can actually come back down into the body, ground yourself back into the heart space, ground yourself back into your solar plexus, so that you can feel, in order to heal these old patterns and pathways, and move more toward intuitive knowing and going outside of your current comfort zone. The best way to quiet your mind chatter is to use things like mindfulness, to go and float in a tank. When you start to actually be deprive all your other senses, and it's just you being held by a body of water. This is why, floating in the sea, or being in a float tank, or just giving yourself that beautiful space of active meditation of under the shower, why so many people have incredible ideas and get a lot of clarity when they're in water. Taking a shower where there's the sound of the water, the touch of the water hitting your skin, where your mind actually gets to calm down and go into that sort of intuitive space of no thinking. Hi, Mina. Nice to see you here. So understand your nervous system, quieten the mind chatter using things like my trust process of where I take you through a very specific way of getting into a space where the thoughts are going to come up, but you just let them go by. Eventually, there's no thought, right? There's just this quantum field, this 0-point field of space, where you start to get that much more intuitive hit, and you're going to build your confidence as you practice this. And I think that, again, also remember, you want to ask a question, not go into a conclusion with a question mark attached, so that you give yourself that space of infinite possibilities for the information on the one thing. So don't ask multifaceted questions. Just keep it very clear and precise and succinct in asking one thing at a time. And then also receive whatever comes up. And it might not always come up instantaneously. I find that especially when I'm like tracking missing animals, I create the heart-to-heart connection. I do a couple of things in the process that keep that two-way dialogue open, and then I'll ask one question. And if I don't get the answer straight away, I'll go about my day, and I'll often find it's in places when my brain is not engaged in that monkey mind chatter, like if I'm going for a walk, or I'm watering the garden, or I'm doing the dishes, which is all active meditative process, that I'll get an energetic hit, or I'll see a picture. So depending on what is your primary clair, some people are a lot more clairvisual, some people are much more clairsentience, so they'll feel it in their body, and oftentimes that's your body giving you the feedback to the clarity of the question that you're asking. So allow yourself to just observe it in your body and in your mind, and one great way to do that is to sometimes to just put your hand on your heart and notice your pulse. You could take your pulse. You could be an active breath cycle to just sort of deepen the out breath, stretch the out breath, so you can come into a more parasympathetic rest and digest stage. And then noticing what happens. Thank you for the love and the hearts. So, just remember that your voice of intuition is going to be a lot quieter than your monkey mind. There's going to be no emotional charge on it, and you're just going to get that confidence of, oh, that feels so right. It's like, that's what I was looking for. Your body is your greatest consciousness facilitator. So part of being able to trust your intuitive process is to stay embodied safely, by creating an open heart space for you. And you can do that through golden cord activation or meditation. It could be by just setting the intention and asking a very clear question, and noticing, what is your stronger way of receiving intuitive hits. Some people will feel it in the body. Oftentimes, like I'll say, my heart will skip a beat, or I'll get a fluttering in my gut and my solar plexus. Some people, especially now with all this light streaming into us and us evolving into this new 5D reality, you'll find that perhaps you get more clarity during dream state. So this is where setting that intention before you go to sleep can be very helpful in you getting the information, and then ask your body mind to retain that information, so that when you wake up you can write it down or journal about it. I like to keep a notebook next to my bed, because oftentimes I'll actually wake up, or I'll do automatic writing in that sort of time just before I go into deep REM sleep. So you're really activating that theta state, and noticing sometimes just opening your crown chakra up and asking again for that intuitive process of seeing, the internal seeing through the third eye can activate again during dream state or awake, and using places like detoxifying, opening, decalcifying the pineal gland, or doing a juice fast or a detox, or, as I said, going into a float tank can be very helpful to just eliminate a lot of the external noise of your environment. So being able to put yourself in a quiet place, maybe using a sleep mask, and making sure your room is very dark, getting rid of any EMFs that could alter or affect the information that you're getting in dream state. Hi, Judy Anderson. Nice to see you here. So just noticing sensations in your body, as I said, and getting really clear on and excited about what your strongest clair is, can often help you to really strengthen that intuitive trust muscle. And my invitation for you tonight, as it is Wellness Wednesday, and we are also in this beautiful full moon where this big gateway has opened, to really go inward, right? To do visual sensing from the internal, subtle sense of sight and sound and taste, is go and give yourself a beautiful me time to just soak in an Epsom salt bath, or go meditate outside, ground yourself to the earth, and ask for the moon, which really, when she's full like this and being so full of water, and us being 70% water, it's a beautiful holding space for us to be in water, or to use the watery energies of the powerful full moon to just guide and support and activate your internal sensing, to trust your intuitive process. So I hope that was helpful. In case nobody told you today, I see you, I love you, and I honor you and your process. Keep going. Give gratitude to your animal companions, who are just, as I said, such incredible teachers in teaching us how to be present and still within, to be present in our process, and to, also remember that you can ask them to support you in building your trust muscle by playing little games with them, one-word games, or ways that they know that perhaps you haven't even been aware of yet, that can help you to trust your intuition and get out of the monkey mind. And I'll meet you there. So wherever you find yourself today, have a beautiful rest of it. And as I said, give yourself some me time tonight to just go and soak in water, or stand under a shower, or put some beautiful water sounds like the ocean waves on in your room just before you prepare for sleep tonight, and command and set the intention that you are willing to see the unseen and to trust your intuitive process and get out of that monkey mind. Your body will thank you, your family will thank you, and your animals will thank you to just have you present in that state. And I'll meet you there. Okay, Lots of love. Bye. Mwah.